Hello, and welcome to the Windows 2003 Server Series Remote Administration. In this video, you will learn what is remote administration, how do I install remote administration, and how to use remote administration. Remote administration, or otherwise known as remote desktop, in Windows 2003 Server is basically a two-user for administrative purposes only version of Windows 2003 Terminal Services. The nice thing about remote desktop or remote administration is that you do not have to install the full Terminal Services role. You also do not need to install the Terminal Services Licensing Manager to use remote desktop or remote administration. The other nice thing about it is that it is installed when you install Windows 2003 Server. So all you really have to do to install Windows 2003 Remote Administration is just turn it on. And you do that simply by going to your My Computer icon here, giving it a right mouse button click, go down to Properties, go over to the Remote tab, and click on Allow Users to Connect Remotely to this computer in the Remote Desktop part of this. When you do that, it comes up with a little security warning saying that some accounts might not have passwords and you want to be careful. It could be a security issue and whatnot. So it's just a warning. You click OK and it's ready to use. When I click Apply, my administrators will automatically be able to go ahead and connect to this server remotely and administer it. Now I can also go down to the Select Remote Users, and when I do this you will see it comes up with a dialog box, and it says by default basically administrators can connect whether they're listed or not. But I could also add other people if I wanted to. I could add Todd to the administrative group and allow him to connect remotely. But you can only have two clients connected at the same time. So that's how you would actually select other users if you'd like to. Well, now that we have our user set and we have the option actually turned on for remote administration, let's go ahead and show you how to use it. So let's go ahead and click OK there, and then we're going to go down to our Start menu, go to Programs, Accessories, Communications, Remote Desktop Connection. And this brings up a box that when you hit the Options button gives you all kinds of things you can do with your remote desktop connection. You can put the computer in you're going to connect to, and we're going to connect to 10.10.10.9. Username, password, and domain if you wish, and you can save that if you want. I don't recommend saving your administrative passwords anywhere though. And we can also save this as an icon, and I'll show you that once we get all our settings set. So let's go back up here and we'll go to Display, and we can choose whether or not to have it in full screen mode. I can have a window 800 by 600 or 640 by 480 if I choose. I'm going to leave it in the full screen mode. I do like that type of administration best. You can also change your color depth of your screen. You can also choose whether or not to bring over local resources. And this is kind of nice. I mean, you can actually bring your sounds over from your server to your local computer. But more importantly, down here are the greater features. The ability to map your printers back. That is awesome, and it has really become more robust in this version of Terminal Services than previous versions, particularly if using a Windows XP client, because then the drivers are compatible. So if I'm sitting at home on a Windows XP client and I'm remote desktoped into my server at the office, my local printer sitting next to me is now mapped on that terminal service session, and I can print to it like it's there. It's a marvelous feature. And so is the disk drives now. This is totally new in Windows 2003 and XP. Previous version of Terminal Services did not give you this option unless you were using like a Citrix solution with it. So now I have the ability to have my local drives on my computer sitting on my Terminal Service session as if it's a local drive there, and then I can use Explorer to copy files back and forth. And it is a pretty neat feature. It's a little slow because of the overhead, but it actually works very well. And then I can choose whether or not to have a program start up when I start up my session, and I can also change the experience. Do I want the animated windows and whatnot? I can do that if I want. I can just tell it I'm on a broadband connection or 10 megabit connection, and it will go ahead and put all this stuff for me. It'll put my desktop background up if I wanted to, and all that does slow down performance. So I wouldn't recommend it for remote administrative purposes, but if you were doing it as a Terminal Services and you wanted the full experience, you could do that. So we're just going to leave it like at modem speed, so it's a little bit faster. And then all we got to do is go back to our General tab here and click Save As, and this will save all of those options we set. And if we go ahead and save it on the desktop, you will see a little icon show up right on the desktop there. Then all we have to do is double click on it to connect. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this so that I can show you how to connect to the icon on the desktop. So now all I have to do is actually double click on this icon, and it will bring up the session. And if I do that, it will give me a little warning first saying that you're sharing your disk drives. This could be potentially unsafe, but I'm okay with that right now. So we'll just click OK, and it will come up and look just like you're sitting at the server, and it's got your regular Windows logon, and you just put your password in and connect. And it's just like you're sitting right at the console, and you can do all your administrative tasks that you could possibly want to do right here. You can go to your Start menu, you can get to all of your administrative tools, to Programs, Administrative Tools. You know, you're going to have a little bit of a delay because it can be a little bit pokey sometimes, but it works very well. So I can administer anything I want on my server. I can even shut down my server if I want remotely, and then when it comes back up, the terminal services will be running again. I can just go ahead and log right back in. And I can also, if I want now, it's a beautiful thing, is that it's up, and the only thing I have different is this little box here. And if I hit this, it actually minimizes my terminal server session and goes back to my local session. See, there's the desktop icon again, and I can bring it back just by highlighting like any other program. So that's very useful when it comes to that. And you can also double-click on your My Computer, and now you will see that it has my local drive that are on my server, and then down here it says some others. Well, these are all my drives that are mapped from my local desktop all the way back to my server. And I can access them just like I would any other drive. Just double click on it and boom, comes right up. And I could copy files back and forth from local drives on my server down to local drives on my remote desktop client if I wanted to. So that is a neat feature. And it also will map all my printers too. So if I close that down and I go to Settings and I go to Printers and Faxes, you will see that there are a couple of them that are mapped over in sessions from my client to my server. So if I print to these, they will actually print back to my client, which could be my workstation at home. So you can see I have all the full functionality of sitting at a console and administering my server by using the remote desktop administration. And anytime I want to get out of it, all I have to do is go to the Start command and log myself off. And when I click Log Off, it's just going to go through a little process and log itself off. And then it's just going to bring me right back to my old desktop on my my remote client. So as you can see, it's a fully featured version of your server in a remote desktop session. Well, I hope this video has given you some insight into the power of the remote administration tools built into Windows 2003 Server. They were available in Windows 2000, and it was a great tool back then, but now it's even more robust, and it's an awesome tool for administration. I really am a big fan of this tool, and you will find that as you get to use it, it can really save you time. You can actually remote desktop into one machine, and then open a session on that machine and bounce into another machine if you want. Or just say you're at the office and you're on your workstation and you have 4 servers you're administrating. You could actually open up each server individually as a remote desktop on your client and then just bop back and forth between the sessions as if they're programs. It's a wonderful tool, it really is. So I hope you have learned from this video how to install and actually turn on the services for remote administration, how to configure and use remote administration. So I hope this video has been informative for you.